So I wanted to make a video talking about and showing you the internal construction of the 3 different guns that I have in the Obsessed Garage store. The first is my beloved Mosmatic with the amazing swivel, a Swiss-made stainless steel swivel. So I'm going to show you the internals of that. Also going to show you some maintenance. Occasionally it needs to happen. This latest batch this weekend, I had several people saying, "Man, my Krenzla is broken. It's not turning off. It's just sort of pulsating." And sure enough, we figured out that occasionally there's a section here I'm going to show you in a second where the Mosmatic internals needs to be torqued. And so my guess is over time, just like all of your fittings, all of your quick disconnects, you're going to need to check your torques. But if you ever develop a leak, leaks drive me insane. And so if you ever develop a leak anywhere, it'd be nice to know how to pull one of these apart. It's really, really easy, and pull it apart and just to make sure all of your fittings and everything are torqued down. Because again, under high pressure, eventually you may see the threads, or you may see the quick disconnects, or you may see the swivels sort of back out. And you just need to tighten them down, or maybe add some new Teflon tape to it. So I'm going to show you the Mosmatic gun, the new SGS28, which was built to my spec from MTM. I wanted a lesser expensive version with a built-in integrated swivel, so I'm excited to take that apart. All the internals on that, I believe, are stainless, where even in the Mosmatic gun, there's the trigger mechanism is actually brass. So one of the things I wanted was a stainless steel inlet, full internals and outlet, so there is an advantage to that. But the SGS28 is $65 instead of $110 from Mosmatic. And the main difference is it has a $25 swivel, where the Mosmatic has a $95 swivel built in, and so it's just a different construction. I'm also going to show you what the difference in the trigger looks like, and then my original SG28. So I've already pulled apart 2 of them. I'll show you how to pull. They all pull apart exactly the same, with the exception of the size of the bit. So I'll show you. I'm going to pull apart the SGS28 for the first time, and we'll see kind of how they look, and I'll show you some of the things that need to be done from a maintenance perspective. The SGs, or the MTMs, they have an M8, I believe. I'm sorry, it's a T10, so it's a T10 Torx. And so first thing you'll notice is that it has stainless screws, which is awesome, whereas the Mosmatic has just a normal, I guess it would be a normal a zinc-plated screw. So that's another advantage too that I'm noticing to the SGS. And I was adamant that I wanted it to be completely stainless. I'll have another video up shortly showing you the operation differences. Even these little tweaks to the SGS, I think that the Mosmatic is the feel of it is still superior. So and then of course the amazing Swiss-made swivel is awesome. Mosmatic doesn't actually make the gun. They just assemble it, and it's built to their spec with their swivel on it. All right, so they all come apart the same. So here's, there's the SGS. The Mosmatic has the same, screws here. So you pull those screws out. And again, these are Phillips versus a T10. So cover comes off, and the same thing with the SG28. So first thing you'll notice, and this is something you'll have to check on all of these occasionally, even sometimes out of the box, I've noticed that this is where you'll lose pressure. So if this fitting here, if this isn't torqued properly, and this is a 20 millimeter, you want to, if you had a vise, or you can grab a set of channel locks. I normally just do the old heave ho and stick it between my legs, and just make sure this is torqued. You don't want to pull on the plastic handle here. You could even close it if you needed to, but you really want to get in here and and torque that down. It doesn't have to be insanely tight, but this is the one section where you may lose pressure. You could also lose it here on the plug. So we do a really good job of torquing that down, but you just want to be careful with that. But man, that swivel is amazing. Just absolutely amazing. So again, this is one section, but notice the first difference here is that our SGS is full stainless. Also, there's a pretty significant angle difference between the two. The angle of the gun, you can see it. the result is pretty similar, but when you're holding it, you know, the angle of this, the SG tends to be, so if I'm holding it, the angle is not quite as aggressive on the Mosmatic as it is on the MTM. Now here's where another, I think, a major cost or a major design difference comes in. If you'll notice the Mosmatic trigger, this trigger mechanism is, I believe, far superior in comparison to this plastic connection. And so you have this triangle adapter that snaps into place. You have a ball bearing here that as you pull, you get that click. So it's easy pull, easy pull. So it's spring loaded. You can't see it here. I don't want to take this apart. But there's a little pin in here that's spring loaded. So the spring mechanism's inside of here, I believe, which they assemble from the back bolt here. And this is 5,000 psi rated. So you get nice smooth operation here, and then you get that click, and then it becomes easy to hold in place. That's, I believe, a far superior mechanism to our MTM version, which, notice, we're reliant on this plastic holder or this plastic section, and then you can see you have a similar, you know, pin. So this, you know, this there's a little metal piece that's internal here, and then that's what connects and pushes in to allow the, you know, pressure to release, or the release of the trigger. So there's a reason why this gun, I think, costs substantially more. I actually like the plastic. You know, the plastic seems to be a bit more durable, a little nicer than what's on the Mosmatic, and then little tweaks like the stainless steel. Or I am talking to Mosmatic about creating an Obsessed Garage version, you know, where we have an integrated plug right into the swivel, so it's all one piece instead of having to put this in. Also talking to him about making this mechanism, this section of the mechanism, stainless like on the SGS. But this is, I believe, this is still superior. The trigger is superior. The trigger on both of these appears to be identical. So the SGS and the SG are, you know, identical trigger mechanisms. They all have a stop or a lock, so that, you know, if you could lock it in place if you have like a toddler or something that would come and grab your gun if you left your machine on. And so that's the internals. Same thing would happen same maintenance would be required with your MTM. The SG28, the non-swivel version, could also need the same maintenance, but I don't think this isn't a 20. This is a 22. I think it's a 22, yeah. So same thing where you'll need to occasionally, if you have a leak, you'll have to torque this bolt here, the top of the swivel. So notice, you know, the need, and I actually think this stuff is kind of fun. I know some people would say, look, I'm buying this expensive thing, it should be perfect forever. But they do require some maintenance occasionally, and it's really, really easy to take apart. But now I think you have a very good indication of, this is $25, this is $65, this is $110. You can see the difference why. And so let's put them back together here on camera. You want to make sure that there's a little stop. So make sure you get that in before you put this back together. So now I've never had one of these MTMs go bad, but my guess is the durability of this trigger on the Mosmatic is also going to be better. And I love little touches like this, though, having stainless steel. I almost want to take the stainless steel, these stainless steel T10s, and put them in the Mosmatic. In fact, I don't want my friends at MTM to give me a hard time for that. I mean, they built this to my spec, and so this thing exists because I begged them for it, and largely I begged them for it when I couldn't get supply of the Mosmatic. But I think the three of these have their place. They're all really good. This is if you're just starting out. I mean, I would combine this with a Sunjo or something, an AR blue, something cheap. If you're a Greenworks, if you didn't want to spend a bunch of money. And so there's our. And so notice the trigger operation here is just an even straight pull. Out of the 300 or 400 of these that I've sold, 500 of these that I've sold, I've had one person say they didn't like the trigger action. But that's another distinction. Let me show you something here. This is the SGS35. This is a European version. And they talked about, well, why don't we just make an NPT? Why don't we make a US spec version of this gun? And the big difference is the internals are a little more stout. You can see the gun is a little bit different construction, a little different angle. But the problem with this is this trigger feels easy, but it snaps. It like cracks on, and I just don't like how that trigger operates. This one is more of a smooth pull. So the operation dry, the operation without pressure feels the same, but these triggers are different. Actually, while we're at it, let's see. I'm curious now. So this SGS35 you can't get here in the US because it doesn't, these fittings aren't right. So this again has the integrated swivel. This is the higher pressure version. I told them we don't need a higher pressure version, so I preferred the 28. We didn't need the 5,000 PSI capability. So why have the extra bulk of the gun if we don't need it? Was my argument. But now I'm interested to see what's different about the trigger. Oh yeah, see the trigger on these, it's a different mechanism. SGS35, again, all stainless. I just happened to, I just tested it real quickly. So this is stainless. I didn't have one laying around. But yeah, that's a completely different trigger operation. You can see it actually connects here and then, and then drives it on. But again, it's a snap. It's like crack. I don't like that operation nearly as much as the smooth pull or smooth engagement. Again, the threads on these are incorrect. These are BSP threads instead of NPT threads. So I just basically ruined whatever I torque this down just to try it. So you can see how easy these, if you ever have an issue, it's really easy to maintain these if you ever get any kind of internal leak. Let's put our Mosmatic back together. Oops, I don't want to go that tight. Remember this is plastic here. On the base of our gun. So there you go, Mosmatic. Gosh, I love that trigger operation. I don't see how you could not like it, even without pressure. Now with pressure, it's even smoother versus, there's just a substantial difference in quality. And so when we do the Matt Mormon or the Obsessed Garage version of the Mosmatic gun, we're gonna maintain this trigger with that ball bearing snap on, but I'm going to have all internal stainless steel just because I don't think it really matters. But what is this one rated? This is rated at 5,000 PSI versus again these are rated at 4,060. But again, we're going to be running max, max 1,500 PSI on our machines. So there you go on all of the 3 different guns. I'll put this one back together. And I'll keep updating you on operation. I'll have another video a full video on this gun and how it works. what happens when the force pulls you back, your foot naturally comes off the gas. You have to keep your foot to the floor, foot to the floor.